Hey everyone, David Barnett here. How you doing? Are you getting excited about Christmas? Hey, today we're talking about CRMs. Let me kick things off by running the intro, and then we can get started.
I'm David C. Barnett, and you're tuned in to Small Business and Deal Making, the podcast, YouTube channel, and blog where I talk about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium sized businesses while controlling risk. So, if you're looking to take control of your future through buying a business one day, or if you already own a business and you're looking to grow or exit, you've come to the right place. I talk about interesting things, I talk to interesting people, and I answer your questions every week right here. So, be sure to hit like and be sure to hit subscribe, and let's get to it. Are you thinking of growing your business or beginning a journey into entrepreneurship? Take a shortcut to success by buying an existing and profitable business the right way. Visit businessbuyeradvantage.com and learn more about my online training, group coaching, and consulting services designed to help you win.
Hey everyone. Boy, I've been suffering lately with a little bit of a congestion here in the chest. And unfortunately, today's guest is running a little bit behind. But I wanted to start on time because today we're talking about CRM systems in small business. And while we wait for John to arrive, I wanted to poll you. Uh, how many of you out there are business owners that are using some kind of CRM system? I'd like for you to type in the comments and let us know what you're using. In my own personal experience through different corporate jobs that I've had, I've used well, back in the day, I used something called Siebel way years ago, like 25 years ago now. But back when I was working for American Express, we used Salesforce.com. And Salesforce, wow, was that ever a complex system? Totally customizable, I guess, for every company environment. I remember that we actually had a full-time guy on the company staff whose only job was just to manage our Salesforce environment. And I remember we used to have these almost monthly meetings. His name was Sam. Sam would come in and he would talk about updates and changes to the way things were changing. The interface was always being modified, and it was a constant evolution. And there's our guest right there. There's John. How you doing, John?
Good, David. How you doing?
Good, good. I was just we just kicked things off, and I was telling people a little bit about my experience using Salesforce in a large organization. We have a couple of comments here from people that have already, have joined us and give some comments. We've got Victor from Nottingham who says he's given the video a like. Thanks, Victor. And if you're out there and you want to learn about this stuff, please hit like on whatever platform you're watching. We've also got Brad here who says I use a CRM in my business. Used to use Nimble, but currently use and customize Suite CRM. And then we have someone here, Concise Advice uses Zoho One. So, I mean, these are names that I've heard before. John here is the CEO of Nimble, actually, and we're going to have a whole conversation here about CRM systems. But why don't I get you to give us a brief history on yourself, John, and give us a little bit about the story of how you ended up managing a CRM system today?
You bet, David. Well, first, thank you for the opportunity to join you in this conversation. I believe that we're on this planet to grow, and the best way to grow is by helping other people grow. So hopefully in our conversation, there are some takeaways that people get where they can learn more about the power of relationships and their ability to help you achieve your dreams in life. And that's really what I started to build when I first built Goldmine and then Nimble. It's really about relationships and the relationships that help you to scale, because we don't do it in a vacuum. And so I got started in this business because I struggled managing relationships. Back when I was first put in sales, there wasn't contact management, there wasn't CRM, there wasn't market automation, there was a day timer. And the day timer was effectively a paper-based system that enabled you to put in your contacts, your to-dos, and that was about it. And we did our forecasts on spreadsheets, and we communicated with email and pink while you're out slips, and it just didn't work. And so I looked for a tool that would help me to integrate the common things I use for engagement, which is email, contact, and calendar. And then I needed some basic sales and market automation because I needed to send a forecast to corporate about how many servers they needed to build. And so I needed some pipeline management. But really, ultimately, what we built at Goldmine was the first tool that enabled a team to work together on relationships, because it wasn't just salespeople that were part of the journey with the customer. It
Around
was
what year are you talking here with Goldmine? Like where would this have been?
1989. So this
Okay.
was in DOS. And so imagine at the company I was working for, it was called Banyan Vines. You had field sales offices that had systems engineers, salespeople, management, and admin, 15 of those. And then at corporate, you had sales, marketing, customer service, accounting, shipping, tech support, and management. And all of these people were touching the constituency around the business simultaneously throughout the journey of our growth. But there was no way to integrate who you're talking to, what happened, who did it, what's going to happen, who's going to do it. And you need context in order to engage effectively. But follow up and follow through is the basics of business. And so the first CRMs were team contact tools like Goldmine. And I believe that CRM sort of lost its way with what we have today, because CRM systems aren't as much about relationships as they are command and control for management reporting. And so that's why when you buy a CRM, in many cases, you got to go buy the sales automation, sales enablement tools that help you to engage. How do you do that? People go out and get SalesLoft or Outreach.io for sales rep engagement, or things like LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And so what happens is the modern tech stack is just too busy with $100 plus solutions to solve the needs that really one system should and could. And that's basically why we built Nimble.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit, because I've got decades of experience working in sales, and I always find it interesting when salespeople reach out to me. So just this morning on Twitter or X, I had someone reach out to me, say, "Hey, I really love your Twitter feed. Have you ever thought about starting a YouTube channel?" And right, and so right on the banner of my X profile is an image with the YouTube logo and the number of subscribers I have. So this person didn't even take a look at my profile,
Yeah.
right? And it always makes me chuckle, because this person may have something of value, they may have something that's interesting, that there could be something we could do together, but they've already disqualified themselves to me as anyone who could offer anything of value, because they didn't take them a moment just to do any kind of research in their prospecting, right? And then another case, I reached out to someone because I was interested in buying something from them. I got a package of information now. This is about 4 weeks ago. I've yet to hear back from the salesperson. Like they sent me some initial information and they've never followed up.
Yep.
And these are people that are trying to make a living by making sales. They work for organizations that are trying to hit revenue targets and earnings targets, and they're not going to do it this way. Like
No.
and what you're saying about relationships is totally accurate. Can we dive a little bit more into that command and control thing? Because when you said that you started Goldmine, you said that you needed a little bit of automation to kind of plan out a pipeline. What I remember from my days using Salesforce when I worked for American Express was that they always wanted me to have the status of different files in there with respect to our pipeline we had sketched out. And it was very clear to me that what was happening is that my supervisor was trying to look at all of our team's performance in aggregate to make sure that at their level they were going to have enough new files closing every month. Is that what you mean by command and control? They want to
Yes.
see what we're
Yes.
doing?
Yes. So the root, the heart of CRM started with things like Goldmine and Act. And the idea was empowering the customer facing business team member to engage more effectively, a contact tool. So it
Yeah.
was really about the relationships, the one-to-one or one-to-many relationships that you might have with an individual or the team of people at an organization that you're trying to engage with. That's your perspective. Management's perspectives, they don't want to know as much about that as they want to know whatever key fields that they're tracking to understand the possibility that you might close that deal. So it's really about pipeline. It's about reporting. So if CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager for the salespeople, it stands for Customer Reporting Management for management. And so there's a dichotomy here. How do you design a system that really is about relationships and empowers that customer-facing business team member to engage effectively when the person that buys the CRM is management, and what they want is command and control and reporting. The reason they call it Salesforce, you have to force salespeople to use it. And the reason that is because it's not for them, it's for management. And so the poor sales rep has to go out and engage however they can to hit their numbers, or else they're going to get fired. So they basically use things like LinkedIn and email, and maybe something that automates the email process, because the whole point of engaging in sales is to qualify the lead and close them. But you can't do that in today's world without a tool. And we call that sales enablement or Salesforce automation. So today, you mainly outreach to sales rep to customers or prospects with email, text, phone, but you do that manually. And so people go out and buy things like Outreach.io, which helps you to send templated trackable emails, which automates the process, but it's a separate thing from the CRM. And so I feel that CRM has lost its way. And if you go back to the beginning of Goldmine, there was no Outlook. So Goldmine was the Outlook for tens of millions of businesses, because it was the tool that the whole company lived in. And that's a real differentiation than the sales CRMs today. So CRMs, if you Google them, everybody says, oh, Pipedrive, the sales CRM, Salesforce, the sales CRM. What percentage of salespeople in a company? Less than 5%. So who's touching the constituency around your business to help it grow? It's everybody. And so there is no contact program at most companies. And the CRMs that they have aren't really about contact management as they are about reporting. And that's what we're fixing at Nimble.
Okay. So what you're saying is that for a lot of these systems, your salesperson is still paying for, they're using that upgraded LinkedIn account, for example, or they're just firing off emails, maybe even from a book they have with these things written down. And they're trying to create these communications. And when they have a communication, then they have to copy and paste it into the CRM system.
That's what they do.
Right. So and it's just a lot of administrative burden.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's basically they mainly do it the night before the reports are due, because it's not part of their engagement process. So if the CRM is over there and they have to go to it to use it, they're less likely to use it.
I've played around with a couple of other CRMs. Some of them integrate into Gmail and things like that, where you can like associate email addresses with certain accounts, and it'll start to automatically populate in the CRM and things like that. My experience with Salesforce was with a very large company, right? And so when small businesses are going out there looking for a CRM, I guess what your position then would be is that it's not about this command and control stuff. It's how do we make it easier to sell? So can you kind of take us through what a salesperson's activity on Nimble might look like?
You bet. But let's start with the heart of a business. The heart of a business,
okay.
The contacts are connecting to, the conversations they're having, and the activities that they're driving, which is today managed in one of two major systems, Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, whatever they call it these days. So the first thing we do is we layer on top of that system, and we integrate the contacts that are right now disparate for every team member. So in Microsoft or Google, which one do you use, David?
I use Google.
In Microsoft or Google, there's a separate contact database for every team member. So there is no central contact database. In addition, by integrating disparate content. Don't you love it when Gemini comes in and says, hey, so what we do is in the typical Microsoft or Google system, there's a separate contact database for every team member. The first thing you want to do as a business is have a unified contact database of your constituency, which includes prospects and customers, but it might include vendors or suppliers or distributors or representatives or biz.
All the employees' contacts go into one phone book, as it were.
Into a pool. And then what we do is we automatically synchronize every email and calendar interaction that you and the team have had with these people. And then we enrich those contacts with people and company data, so you don't have to Google them, you Nimble them. And Nimble automatically puts in their avatars and titles and locations and all that stuff. And even will give you their email and phone number, which is a separate tool you have to buy as a sales rep, ZoomInfo or something like that, to enrich leads. And then we enable each team member who are doing different functions, let's say sales or marketing, to be able to use Nimble in their daily workflow. So let's talk about marketing. The whole reason you have a website is you want to drive eyeballs to it. But then you want to convert those eyeballs into a prospect or a lead. Nimble has web forms you can put on your website to capture the leads. And then once the leads go into Nimble, we can automatically either put them onto a drip sequence with our email marketing system, or we could have the reps do a sequence, which would be through the one-to-one or one-to-few methodologies. And so the typical workflow is you capture these leads, you put them on a drip track until they become lead qualified, which means different things to different people, but essentially they've interacted with you enough that you want to hand it to a sales rep. And then Nimble enables a sales rep to engage in a one-to-one or one-to-many with templated trackable emails to get them on the phone and qualify them. And then once they're qualified, we can manage them through their pipeline. And so what makes Nimble unique is we automatically build the CRM for you. And then we work where you live. Where do we live? We live wherever we can engage with customers. That means your inbox. That means in your inside LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever you're engaging, or it might mean another business app. So Nimble has a plugin to Chrome called Prospector that will automatically come up when you open up an email or go on somebody's LinkedIn site. And if they're in Nimble, it'll automatically bring up the record. If they're not in Nimble, it'll allow you to build a record automatically. And then you can follow up, because what you said, David, was it was the basics where people fail, and most salespeople, they don't follow up. And so my dad taught me that the basics is what wins games. And we don't do the basics because it's too hard. You have to go to the CRM to use it. Imagine the CRM lived where you engaged and then enabled to easily schedule the follow-up or delegate that task or do whatever you need to do. So Nimble is the first CRM that's built for the whole company, not just salespeople. And it works for you instead of you working for it. And it works with you where you engage. And then finally, we have outcomes other than deals. Of the relationships that you have today, David, what percentage of them are dollar related and what percentage of them are just relationships where you're building to achieve some common purpose?
Oh, probably 3/4 of them are dollar related, and the other quarter are relationships
Okay.
through
And,
colleagues or other industry
and
people. Yeah.
relationships typically are for a purpose. So you have a process you might put somebody through, like us. So if you were to use Nimble to manage your processes for podcasts, you could put somebody in a workflow that would day one send them some email that asks them to give the headshot and some forms that they fill out. And then right before the show, it sends them something else. So a whole process of working them through the stages. Or if you're outreaching for PR, or you're outreaching to hire people, or you're outreaching to collect money, these are all contact management related things that are non-sales related. But in most cases, in most businesses, they're doing it in spreadsheets because CRMs are just designed mainly for sales, and Nimble is
Wow.
designed for the whole company.
So I could put, contacts of like journalists that I'm
Yes.
trying to get some PR
Yes.
activity
Yeah.
from or something like
And
that
in
as well.
fact, if you're using something like Muckrack for your PR segmentation, Muckrack is like Cision, one of those PR databases where you could identify writers based on subjects, etc., and the publications. If you use Nimble there, it'll automatically grab the contact from those PR databases and put them into Nimble. And you could essentially build a segment of people, writers, that are covering things that you want them to write about, and then outreach to them in a series of sequence of emails that you then manage in a workflow, which is essentially just a Kanban board that you define, which is a series of stages that you put people through. And deals aren't good for this, but workflows are. And so your CRM should be designed ideally for the whole company, not just salespeople. And especially in small businesses where people wear multiple hats. You might be selling one day and basically reaching out for PR the next day. And you want a system that will dance with you through all those processes. And so that's what makes Nimble unique. Is its heart as a contact manager. And do you want to know an interesting story? The reason why CRMs didn't build contact management effectively into their systems is when Goldmine started, it was Outlook before Outlook existed, because Outlook was just Outlook Express, which is an email inbox. So we were the first program that integrated email, contact, and calendar, and sales and market automation. And so when Microsoft doesn't innovate, they iterate. They wait for someone else to build the market. And then they built something good enough to dominate. So they built Outlook, and it became the contact manager for businesses. So when Siebel came out and then Salesforce came out, they really didn't build good contact management because people were doing that in Outlook. But Outlook today isn't a good contact manager because it's mainly designed for managing your contacts. But in most business, it's a team of people engaging
Right.
a group of contacts, and you're wearing different hats at different purposes. And that's why you want a CRM for the whole company and something that helps you to engage beyond just dollar related relationships.
We got a couple of comments here. Brad says John is spot on. We had to integrate a marketing automation tool as well. Frustrating that it requires multiple tools. We need to revisit Nimble. And says one frustrating thing is the lack with CRMs is the lack of a CTI or a phone call integration. Having
Yep.
to manually log calls in the CRM versus having them automatically logged. Would love
Yep.
John's take on that. Can you not API with something like OpenPhone or something and just have these
Sure,
things automatically
sure.
connect?
You could do APIs for dialing. In fact, if you click a phone number on any application, you can have uh, a designated app that's going to dial for you. So you could in Chrome, you could designate anything, and you can click a phone number on any application. It'll go dial via the application you gave it. But that's not what he's asking for. He wants logging the call and the duration and maybe even the actual call itself, and then recording it and having the ability to um,
Have like an otter summary of the call or something
yeah,
like that, like some
this is
yeah,
this is what he wants, and what most businesses need is a customer engagement platform, right? Because it's
yeah,
really about engagement. But on what channel? Today, most CRMs do email, but really the CRM should manage all communication, kind of like an intercom, if you will, that enables you to manage, to put a chat box on your website and be able to bring chats in, to be able to engage with them on whatever channel works, which means text and email and phone. And so Nimble is releasing email marketing, which essentially is different than our historical templated emails that we send. So Nimble will send on your behalf through your service provider, Microsoft and Google. And Microsoft and Google limit you to about 300 to 500 to maybe 1,000 emails per day. So if you want to use Nimble today, or really any CRM, to email 1,000 people or 10,000 people for a webinar invite, or marketing or a newsletter, you need to basically get a marketing automation program, MailChimp or Constant Contact or
right.
HubSpot or ActiveCampaign. Do you know the cost of those systems? It costs tens of thousands of dollars to buy an email marketing program. And then you need to buy a sales enablement program for your sales reps, Outreach.io or SalesLoft, in order to send templated emails from the sales reps. That's $100 per rep per month. Then you need something that enriches a lead, ZoomInfo. It's another $100 per rep per month. And so what we've done is we've integrated a communication, an engagement engine into Nimble. The first thing we're releasing is email. The next thing we'll release is text. Following that will be phone, and then following that will be chat. So essentially, no matter how you're engaging your customers, Nimble will be able to initiate and record and even do automations where you could put something on your website and says, give us your email for a 15% discount on your next order. And then it says, give me your text now to confirm it. And so now you have their email and text, and you can start breaking through the logjam, because people don't open up their emails anymore, but maybe they'll look at their texts. And so you need to communicate on whatever channel is most effective for your customers. And it's really a combination of channels that you really need to use today, because there's something to be said about picking up an old-fashioned phone, right?
Right. Yeah. What size does a business need to be at before they really see the benefits of adopting one of these systems?
Individual people can benefit from adopting it, but certainly
Okay.
the benefit scales with teams. And so I think any team of any size can benefit from Nimble, but our sweet spot is really in the 5 to 50 range of team members using it simultaneously. But that doesn't restrict us to small businesses, because big businesses, enterprises, behave like small businesses departmentally. Imagine if there was an influencer marketing group at Adobe that wanted to reach out to influencers. Is Salesforce going to be overkill for them, or maybe not even appropriate because it's not dollar related relationships? And maybe they need something that enables their team to focus on relationships and the processes to build the relationships to achieve their goals. And that's kind of what Nimble does with workflows.
So speaking of different channels, I've got different channels here on different screens. So we got someone over on Instagram Live who's asking what your thoughts are on adopting AI chat or voice agents for CRM systems.
Well, I think they could be really, really effective in certain instances if they're fluid. We've all dealt with the frustration of dealing with an automated bot that just doesn't feel right. It doesn't. You cut yourself on the edges of the journey, and so I have dealt with bots that were really, really good. For example, my brother runs a automation for a loan company, and they could send out millions of phones and texts and stuff, and it generates the responses for the people engaging. And they used to have a call center full of 50 people, and now it's AI bots that will take the customer through the journey. And what he told me was that the AI bot is smart enough that if the person goes off tangent, you know how people do, they'll start talking about their dog or their hip or whatever, it brings them back to keep them on focus on the thing, which I found really incredible. Like, so if they're that fluid, yeah, but I believe that the more digital we get, the more human we need to be. And we have all seen things that feel plastic and fake. And I think that our customers are really desiring more human contact.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I I think it comes down a lot to what it is you're trying to sell
Yeah.
and the complexity of the purchase and the relationship that has to be there. And, I think that people are going to want to have that human contact. Maybe they'll deal with an AI to set an appointment, for example, or something of that nature. But
Hmm.
I mean, I think it's gonna be a long time before someone's having a real sales conversation and bantering back and forth with a robot about something like for an enterprise sale or big company purchase, for example.
I think for certainly strategic selling into an enterprise where you're dealing with multiple decision makers, playing multiple roles, wearing multiple hats, you definitely need a team of people, really, right? You're going to have to
Yeah.
lead contact and multiple people around them in order to do it right.
Um, what are some of the biggest challenges people face when they wanna transition into one of these systems?
I
What
think
do you see are the reasons that take the time?
it's getting the data across, right? Because if you've spent years putting data into a previous CRM, in many cases, they don't make it easy to get the data out. Which is why we built an import that makes it really easy to get data into Nimble. And then training people on the systems. But I find that people adopt systems that there's more in it for them. And that's what you really got to teach your people, that this CRM isn't really for me to report on you. It's me to help you engage to make more money, to hit your numbers. And that's been missing in CRM systems. As you said, David, they're really command and control reporting systems that you have to go type data into. And so imagine if you had a CRM that automatically built records for you and then worked where you lived. It was easy to basically do the basics. And that's really where we fall down, is if I'm speaking to you and I say, I'm going to follow up with you next week and I'm going to send you X, Y, and Z, I need to put that in there and I need to do it. And then after I did it, if the next person that talks to you, because you mentioned American Express, and I use them example all the time of a company that knows who they've spoken to and who did what. And that's what you need. And if it's easy for the rep to do the basics, which is logging the thing that they're supposed to do or scheduling it and then completing it, the next person picks up the phone will have the context and insights they need to provide the best level of service they can in the moment. And then you're going to walk away from that journey going, gosh, what a breath of fresh air. I love working with this company. They do what they say they're going to do. And even though John wasn't available, I spoke to Jenna and they knew who I was, and they dealt with my stuff professionally.
Well, you mentioned that, salespeople want a system that works for them. What kind of things do you find salespeople wanna track with respect to their own performance in a system like this? Are there any metrics or KPIs that people seem keen to want to learn?
Well, May West said out of sight is out of mind, and out of mind is out of money, honey. And how do you stay top of mind with your contacts? Is engaging people effectively in the places that are most effective for the person you're engaging with. What does that mean? It depends on the person. And so the first thing that Nimble does is helps you to see somebody's walls. I used to teach sales reps how to engage with people. And I said, when you go in somebody's office, look at their walls, look at the books they read, the degree of the school they went to, the knickknacks they collect. All these things will give you a clue into things you might have in common that you can then break the ice and develop intimacy and trust to get them to open up to you about their business issues, which as a professional you can solve. What Nimble does is it shows you the walls automatically. And then it helps you to outreach at scale. And ultimately, it's about making the calls. Back in the day, I had to make 50 calls a day, or else I wasn't really.
What do you mean by shows you the walls? Like to see their other social media stuff or what?
Yeah, their background, their business background, other contextual things, because it's a lot of work to Google somebody before a meeting, but we all know we should,
Yeah.
right? They didn't do the basics with you, David. They didn't see that you had a YouTube channel, let alone go and watch one of the videos. And it's your job. You got to know who the company is and what their business is about, what their challenges are, and who the person is and what their story is in order to be able to serve them effectively. Let's say you're a financial advisor. Wouldn't you want to know if they have children? Right? I mean, it's the basic stuff. And so we all don't do the basics because it's too much work. And so Nimble helps you to do that. And that's why people love it, is it gives you the context and insights you need to engage more effectively. And then when you do engage, it's easy because it's right there with you wherever you're engaging.
Yeah. Are there any sort of like hidden costs? Like if people sign up for Nimble, what is it? Like a monthly subscription per
Yeah.
user or something like that?
I love that you bring this up. We actually just did a study because like I shared, we're releasing email marketing, which is different than the one-to-one or one-to-few email group emails that we do today. And I just want to be clear on that. So today you could send emails on Microsoft or Google. You could send one, or you could send a group of them in Nimble, and they send it through Microsoft or Google. But that's really designed for the individual rep to do one-to-one or one-to-many outreaches. But that doesn't scale to tens of thousands. So every business needs something like MailChimp. But if you go and price out what it would cost for a single user and say 1,000 contacts with an email marketing system, 3 users, 5 users, 10 users, and then scale up the number of contacts, you'll quickly get to $10,000 a year with most of the systems, HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, etc. But with Nimble, there's a base price for the platform, which is $29 per user per month. And we don't charge you extra for extra level platforms. Whereas with other CRMs, if you want to do certain features in the system, everybody in the company has to move up to the next bucket list. So rather than make 29, everybody's in the company's paying 89 per seat. Then they charge you for the email marketing system and for the number of contacts that you're managing. We don't charge you for the number of contacts. So there's hidden costs in all CRM systems, and the cost you cannot even discern because they don't publish the cost. ActiveCampaign, if you want to use the sales enablement features of templated email tracking, you have to buy the CRM version, and they don't have a price for that on the website. You won't know until you actually sign up. So most customers aren't going to know the true cost of their CRM until they've lived in it for a few months. And with Nimble, our prices are upfront. They're straightforward. They're really simple. And we give you a lot of the features that you need to heretofore go out and buy disparate systems: sales enablement, sales intelligence, email marketing as separate platforms. And when you buy separate platforms, they don't integrate really well. You can't segment effectively. And if you can't segment and send personalized outreaches in your marketing messaging, you're not going to be as effective.
Yeah. Yeah. And these CRM systems, once people have invested rather the time to input their data and gone through a migration process that could be painful, right?
Yeah.
Then they're very sticky to the system. They've made this investment in time and effort, and that's probably why some of these outfits don't want to reveal all their pricing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to actually write a blog post and do a video and a webinar on the hidden costs of CRM, and basically we've got the data internally, but I really want to share it with people because I think it's actually misleading.
Are there any kind of ethical considerations around CRM systems or implementing them or how they're used in businesses today?
Well, yeah, I think one of the biggest ethical thing that I would bring up is the amount of spam we get in our email inboxes, right? The amount of messages that we just get blasted with all the time. I'm sure you've gotten them, David, where you get an email today. Hey, David, I'm reaching out because I saw that we share the love of full moons on a sunny day, and and then the next day, hey, in case you missed this, I want to make sure that this pops up to the top of your box. This is really important. And essentially, there's no human being there. They haven't actually looked at your background or outreach in any sort of one-to-one way where they quickly get the point
Yeah,
about
you're talking about LinkedIn.
all of them, right? All
Yeah,
of them.
yeah.
And so I think that companies are ethically responsible to not spam people, to actually do the work to send personalized outreaches. Yes, you can send a personalized outreach to somebody as long as you have a unsubscribe on your unsubscribe. But just because you have a list of prospects doesn't mean you should just blast out crap to them and beat on them with your email automation like it's a machine gun, because we don't want to hear it. In fact, I actually recommend that people stop talking about themselves and their products and they start talking about how they can help other people grow, because people
Yeah.
don't buy great products. They buy better versions of themselves. And that's what you should be selling as a sales rep, is how you can help that person grow. Instead of being a sales rep, be a trusted advisor and set yourself apart from the other salespeople who are basically blasting people. And you should be sharing your knowledge, because you know more about your products and services in the market than your customers do. Give your knowledge away on a daily basis, and then people will see you as a trusted advisor. And when they do want your products and services, not only will they pick up the phone and call you, but they'll drag their friends with them.
Yeah. I remember an early sales trainer that I had back when I was just in my first corporate job. Used to draw the distinction between a salesperson and a peddler. And the difference between the two. And when I get these spammy messages on LinkedIn, that's what I remember. I'm like, oh, this is a peddler. It's that person on the corner hawking whatever it is they're selling, but everyone who walks by gets the same pitch, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not taking any time to learn anything about you or your needs. They're just trying to pitch the thing that they have to sell. And they're just doing it repeatedly over and over again. And you know, I feel kind of bad for people that are in that broken record of behaving that way, because it's got to be a nightmare to be that person, to be sending the same thing over and over again to people. And unfortunately, you miss people that you may actually have an opportunity to help, because you're not actually going through a proper sales process and getting to know someone and find out what their needs are.
Yeah, we've all experienced it. It's called connect and sell. That's actually funny. It's actually the name of a CRM, but I think it's a bad practice, right? You should not connect and sell. You should connect and serve. Find some way you can serve that person. How can you rather than figure out what you can get, how much you can get, how much can you give, right? So if your connection is for the purpose of how you can help that person grow, um, the sales are going to pour into your lap.
If anyone wants to learn more about the Nimble CRM, I'm sure you've got all kinds of videos on your website that shows what it's like to use it.
Yeah, you bet. It's nimble.com. And we'd love you to come and try the platform out. It absolutely is a customer engagement platform that will help you grow your business. And connect with me. Let me know how I might help you grow. You could easily find my info. Just Google me, Jon Ferrara. In fact, you should Google yourself, because that's how people are going to judge you in the future, your brand and your network or your net worth. But Google me and connect with me on whatever channel is most effective for you, or send me an email. My email is john@nimble.com.
That's awesome. And so within Nimble, you must have data on all kinds of small businesses. Are you able to create any kind of metrics or comparison or benchmarking between different outfits and organizations that use your platform? It's just something that just came to my mind. I was wondering if that's something you guys could do.
Well, we hold our customers' privacy pretty clear, so we don't do anything with the data today. Would be open to exploring a way where we can anonymously gather best practices of data, like open rates and engagement rates and deal closure rates, and some of these things. Um, and But at this point, and for the foreseeable future, uh, our customers' data is theirs, and I don't see a time where we ever change that.
I was curious because I'm a MailChimp user, and they ask you what industry you're in. They kind of give benchmarks as to what in aggregate the other people in that industry are getting for like open
Yeah.
rates, all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
like I
I always
showed,
find it
I'd
interesting.
love to do something like that, and if you have screenshots or examples of that, I'd love to see it, because I think we all struggle in our own little boxes where we're
Yeah.
trying to, understand how we're doing, and getting some benchmarks of peer industries, I think is really effective.
Yeah, cool. All right, John, thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who joined us live and asked a question. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation, and we'll see you next time. I hope that you've got an exciting week planned next week for Christmas.
Oh yeah, we got the family coming in. We're here in Asheville, North Carolina. We're still digging our way out of the Hurricane Helene, but I'm happy to have water and power and internet. These are all good things, and we've got the Christmas tree up, and looking forward to doing some cooking and caroling with the family.
Awesome. All right, stay right there, John. Thanks, everyone, and we'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time.
So, how can you learn more about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium sized businesses? Easy. Go over to my blog site, davidcbarnett.com, where you can learn more about me and how I work with my clients. You can learn more about my books and courses that I've prepared for you. You can find out how to subscribe to my email list, the YouTube playlists, and more. There's literally hundreds of hours of content there, all for free, and I'd love for you to be my guest. Special thanks go to Mark Willis at Lake Growth Financial, today's video sponsor. Mark helps people better manage their personal and business finances through the Bank on Yourself insurance strategy. This is something I've done personally, and I've seen others use it successfully for years. Go to newbankingsolution.com to find all the interviews I've done with Mark and learn more about the advantages of these programs. While there, sign up for a free consultation to learn what this solution might look like for you.